There we go. There we go. Hi, everybody. It is still getting live out to Facebook. That's fine. But hello to everybody who showed up to the meeting and is in here in Zoom. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. My name is Kari Quast, Chair of Northwest Neighborhood. This is our February 17th meeting. And this evening, we have two special guests, Liz Stenning from the Downtown Everett Association, and then also Mary Fossey, from Councilwoman from District 1. It's a lot of words to say. We're going to let Mary go first because she has another meeting this evening. I will follow up with some neighborhood news and some updates, and then we will learn more about downtown Everett. So without further ado, I'm just going to pop it over to you, Mary.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll give you a few quick updates, and then if anybody has any questions, happy to answer. Recent stuff going on. I did try to pass an endorsement of some tree canopy comp plan adjustments for the county. That didn't quite make it past council, but they are still looking at it at the county council level to make some of those changes. We did adopt a resolution for the 2022 Human Needs Fund recommendations. That's a pretty impressive list that's available on the city website if you're interested. There's going to be some I-5 construction that's coming up that it impacts our area in particular. On I-5 right now, they're doing advertisement for the project, and they're opening bids soon, but they're expected, the construction is supposed to be the second quarter of 2022 through the first quarter 2023. And there's going to be weekend ramp closures right kind of in our area. Northbound I-5 from Marine View Drive, that exit is probably going to be closed for 6 weekends. It's the northbound I-5 HOV to Broadway is going to be impacted 3 weekends. And then northbound I-5 to 41st and Broadway is going to be impacted for 3 weekends. There's going to be, ramp closures, and but the earliest allowable closure will probably be 7 p.m. So they're going to try to, manage that. There's going to be more details coming forward with specifics on closures and things around that, that project moving forward. I think probably once they get the contractor, the construction project awarded. So, you'll see that we've been doing like overviews of the comp plan. That's something that's pretty important coming up. So we'll be focusing on that kind of as a priority, most likely for the council. And then let me see if there's anything else on my radar. We adopted the Parks Pros plan. If you haven't read through that, it's a pretty nice, big, it's like 300 pages or something. It's nice, but it talks about everything from, the variety of our different parks and the access to them, equity issues or tree canopy, like all sorts of stuff. It's a really, really nice, well done piece. So that's available on the website if you're interested. And then last week I was elected to the Snohomish County Regional Law and Justice Council. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I'll give you updates on that if you're interested at some point. But does anybody have any questions at all that I can help answer or look into for you?
Liz, go ahead.
I have a question. If you're interested in tree canopy, I would love to connect some time on adding more trees downtown.
Yeah, email me.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
And please don't hesitate to email me, folks.
Yeah. Any more questions, or if you have one on Facebook, you can comment and I can ask Mary. Tim.
Mary, what was that? I'm trying to write it down. You were elected to the Snohomish County Law Enforcement what?
Yeah, it's the Snohomish County Regional Law and Justice Council.
Okay. When is that?
They haven't scheduled their first dates yet. It just happened. So I think Don Schwab is actually of the SCC Council he's actually going to be for the county. He's vice chair on that too. He was elected to the vice chair. So we'll have some good representation over there. And yeah, it's It's pretty exciting. We're starting a lot of our committees recently, and we're just kind of getting those going. So that'll be fun work going forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I am not seeing any questions from
Okay.
Facebook. Anybody else here? No.
Well,
Okay. Thank you so
Y'all
much.
know my email. You know where I live. So
Yeah. Have a great evening. Thank
have a
you.
great night. Thanks so much.
Bye, Mary.
Bye.
Excellent. Okay. So I think let's see. I think we're going to move to Liz first because I think she's had a very interesting week, to say the least. But a little bit about Liz. We've known each other since we were numero uno. That's it. The first year of our lives, we actually met each other. Our mothers were friends, walking through Northwest neighborhood, and they both were teachers. And so they had a lot in common. And so Liz and I went to school from Whittier through Everett High School together. And then at our 20-year reunion, we reconnected because she's a Husky and I'm a Cougar, and we went different ways. But we hang out all the time, and now she's back in Everett, and I'm excited about that because it is, I think, a tie from old school, new school, the experiences she's had in her life. She's worked for a long time with the Alliance for Pioneer Square in Seattle, and so has that community basis and being in a downtown core and what it takes to enliven the place, bring activities and events and keep things going. So I'm excited she could be back in Everett with us and bring good things to life. And then also, yeah, it's just wonderful. I'm glad you're here. So Liz, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Kari. I do have a slideshow to share, but I first just want to recognize that I am very fortunate to have grown up in North Everett, just down the street from Kari. And, when I left to go to college, I don't think I really realized what a special place it is until I was gone. And even then it was years later when I reconnected with Everett through Kari and went to some of these old houses and streets and then the Grand Avenue Bridge. I actually grew up within walking distance, steps away from that bridge. And it's just amazing to think that you all have access to the waterfront like that now. So you're all very lucky to live there. And I will go ahead and share my screen. And Kari, you're gonna have to mute my mother. My mom just showed up. Hi. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and go from there. And things are hidden. See if I can do this. All right, can everyone see this?
Yeah, looks great.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've done some introductions here already. I just want to point out that if you're involved in any kind of nonprofit organization or even businesses, you most likely you're going to have a vision statement and mission statement. And we did not have much of one up until this last year. And we were fortunate to do some strategic planning with a consultant and with a group of stakeholders in downtown Everett. And I will just go ahead and read you our mission statement that is new to us. And that is, we champion downtown Everett's community of businesses, residents, workers, and visitors by supporting economic vitality, promoting local experiences, cultivating a strong organizational network, and stewarding public spaces and historic places. You may or may not be familiar with Main Street, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but we are a Main Street organization as of 2021. And one of the things that Main Street stresses that all new organizations should do is come up with a transformation strategy. And if you think about some place like Walla Walla, maybe they're going to focus on the wine industry, or Mount Vernon might focus on local tourism. So our transformation strategy we developed is cultivating and growing experiences in dining, entertainment, and arts in downtown Everett. And come to find out that actually the acronym is DEA, which we did not intend, but that's that's our overarching goals there. You're all most likely familiar with downtown Everett. We needed to learn about downtown Everett in order to apply to become a Main Street organization, we put together a database. We started tracking all the buildings, and we learned that we have close to 300 buildings in downtown Everett in about a 40 block area. And what was very surprising, we knew we had historic buildings downtown, but we found out that we had more than 80% of the buildings in that area are historic, meaning they're over 50 years old. To qualify to become a Main Street organization, you need to have at least 50%. So we were pleased that we have so many. So next time you're in downtown Everett, just really consider how many of those buildings are historic buildings. There's nearly 1,200 housing units, and we're starting to track more carefully the number of businesses we have downtown. So we have just over 500. It's a mix of professional, personal, nonprofits, to trades and lodging. You see that there's quite a lot of professional services, and I would say most likely that has to do with taller buildings. So you have upper floor businesses above the ground floor. So a lot of those are going to be your offices and lawyers and whatnot. I just mentioned that we worked on a strategic plan. So this strategic plan that we developed is really going to help us formulate our work plans over the next 3 to 5 years. And so before this past year, I think the organization had a sense of where it was going and what we were doing, but this has really helped us formulate more refined ideas.
That's kind of interesting, Simon. Liz is talking, yeah, about Everett. Yeah.
So I'll just mention a few things that we do. Some of you may be familiar with our work. Some of you may be familiar with parts of it. So part what we do is we clean downtown, which I'll go into. We manage the Everett Park Garage, and we do a lot of work that's trying to revitalize downtown. And I mentioned the Main Street program. I can't see faces with my screen here, but maybe a couple of you nod or raise your hand if you have heard about the Main Street program. So this is a national program that was developed by the National Trust for Historic Preservation in the 1970s. So some of you may remember when the malls were developed and there was retail and people leaving downtowns. Many of them became blighted, particularly in the East Coast and other more industrial cities. Everett lost a lot of its retailers. So this, the National Trust for Historic Preservation was very concerned about downtowns becoming blighted and frankly losing many historic buildings too. So this program was developed, and now today there are over 1,200 cities and towns that are recognized as Main Street towns. I have to give a lot of credit to Patrick Hall here, our board president. So a few years ago, maybe 4 years ago, he attended a conference in one of these Main Street towns. I can't remember which town it was now, Port Townsend possibly. And
Ellensburg first.
Thank you, Ellensburg, then Port Townsend. He realized that downtown Everett had all the makings to become a Main Street community. And so he set about with some volunteers to reshape the organization to follow the principles of the Main Street program. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more depth, but what is very exciting is that last year in 2021, we became recognized with 35 other towns around the state as a Main Street community. So some of these towns you'd be familiar with would be Bellingham, Port Townsend, Gig Harbor, Walla Walla, Wenatchee. And what is phenomenal is that we now are connected to all of these downtowns and these leaders. We have seminars, webinars we can attend, Facebook chats, you name it. And we also now are part of this Main Street tax credit program where businesses can donate to us and receive a credit off of their B&O state tax. So big lift that Patrick and others worked on was reshaping the organization into these committees. So we have 4 committees that follow the Main Street principle: economic vitality, design, promotion, organization. And you can imagine economic vitality is really supporting businesses. Design, some of the specific projects we work on with that committee are the flower program, the holiday lights. Promotion is where we're figuring out how to promote downtown with maybe one of you grab one of the tote bags we had downtown, giving out. for free. The organization is a lot of the behind the scenes nuts and bolts work, fundraising, for instance. So all of our board members and committee members, or all of our board members are on committees, as well as a variety of at-large citizens. So some of you know Stephanie Prothero, she lives down the street from Kari. She's on our organization committee. And really, the two full-time folks in our organization that work on this couldn't do nearly the amount of work and projects without these volunteers. So I mentioned that we clean downtown. So we manage about 40 blocks in downtown Everett, where we're cleaning, removing graffiti, removing biohazards, anything you can think of, we're trying to make it clean. So the downtown Everett is what we call the business improvement area. We actually changed the name to call it a downtown improvement district because we're not just focused on businesses, we're trying to make it a place for everybody. So all of the property owners in this area pay into the pot. So essentially they're self-taxed, so to speak. So there's a formula that figures out the value of their land, the value of their building, and then the funds that come into the pool to the city of Everett, we then manage the program, which primarily is funding the cleaning program. So if you go to some other parts of Everett, you'll see more graffiti, you'll see more trash. We have, I guess, a much more detailed approach to cleaning the downtown to sort of, really keeping it looking nice. Some stats, we have a 5-person crew. We're out there 7 days a week. The crew starts at 5 a.m. They get off around 2 p.m. We have someone who works on the weekends. They removed nearly 2,000 graffiti tags last year, lots and lots of garbage, cigarette butts, and they return shopping carts. So all the shopping carts they find downtown, they try as best they can to get them back into the stores they came from. And they clean up leaves. They're just incredible. We manage the Everett Park garage. So I'm sure some of you have parked there. It is owned by the city of Everett, and we have had a contract for many years to manage the parking. With that, we see a lot of the trends with parking. During COVID, it was fairly empty. It's starting to pick up again. It is an interesting lens to see what's happening downtown. It's an older building, and if you have been in there, you know that there's a booth and there's people in the booth. They take cash. The city is actually working on automating the garage. So there'll be an arm that comes up, and it'll be credit card payment, and that booth won't be there anymore. They're working on getting that in place by sometime this year. And we just in general try to work with the city on making better parking policies throughout downtown. So the downtown revitalization is work that we're really trying to ramp up and make downtown Everett just a great place. So I mentioned before, we work with supporting our small businesses. The flower program, I'll speak to in a little bit, but essentially we are the ones now that manage all of the downtown flowers after the city had to cut the budget in 2020, along with a variety of other budget cuts that you're probably familiar with. That was really a Hail Mary pass to buy those plants, about 3,000 of them at auction, and find a bunch of you all like volunteers to help us plant them. And from there, then we kept them alive, we kept them watered, we kept them growing. And it's just something that we're now really proud of. We have a system, and now we're going to our 3rd season. Last year, we expanded even more holiday lights. So the holiday lights you see downtown that are up right now, those big snowflakes, through donations, we purchased them, and the city of Everett installed them. Where we have some of our own downtown events that we manage. Halloween, we're going to do a wine walk this year, Small Business Saturday. We work on marketing and advertising and variety of public space improvements, and then just general advocacy, trying to keep up on sound transit and light rail, parking, public safety, all the things that happen in downtown. I mentioned the flower program. We had nearly 200 volunteers, both planting and maintaining the plants all year last year. We We hire someone in the summer to maintain, well, not to maintain, but just to water the plants. They are weeded and deadheaded by volunteers like you. And in fact, I just found out today that our seasonal waterer has found a full-time job. So we'll be posting a job soon for someone to work very part-time in the summer, and it could probably starting sometime in May. And it's a great job for someone at a high school or has another job. It needs to be a little bit flexible because you're not going to water when it's pouring down rain for a week. But anyway, let me know if you know anyone, and we'll be looking for someone to water the plants this year. And also, you can keep on your radar that April 30th is our planting day. We'll have volunteers come and plant all the pots downtown. Businesses. Well, through the pandemic, we had some businesses closed, not a lot of businesses closed. Businesses certainly struggled, to keep afloat, to keep people hired, etc. We're all familiar with that. And surprisingly, we had quite a few new businesses, and we have more businesses that are looking to open in the next few months. So I won't go through the whole list here, but I think you might be familiar with some of these businesses. A couple of things to note. I think it was today, Soul Food just reopened in their new location at the Black Lab Gallery. The Artisans Mercantile in the Hodges building is right now going through a remodel. They're going to be opening sometime next month. And they're a business that came from Snohomish, and they're featuring local artists. They'll have a bookshop, coffee shop, printing press. It's a mother-daughter team. So that'll be really exciting when that opens up. We're at 18th and Hewitt. Mom and Pop's Cakery, that's also on Hewitt. And that is next to, where is that next to? The new Mexican restaurant, Deliciosos, and I forgot to put them on here. And then also Petrichor is a home goods store that's going to be opening up this year, sometime in the spring on Rucker near the skate shop. Hopefully some of you got one of these tote bags. They were a hit the year before, so we printed more of them and gave them out on Small Business Saturday. We're trying to promote downtown Everett as much as we can. Last year we made 2 videos, one to promote doing business downtown, one to just to promote downtown. We're trying to overhaul our website and launch it in the next couple months. We developed a new downtown shopping guide, and we've also launched a downtown gift card. And I'll talk about that when I get to the end because there's a picture of it. And then just encouraging people to come downtown shop. These are the holiday lights I mentioned. I wanted to point out that coming from a different place, I was very accustomed to outlets and power on street poles. Well, it turns out in downtown Everett, there's no power on the street poles. There was power long ago, but it was decommissioned. I believe that the utility boxes were on the ground level and they were tampered with too much, and so they were decommissioned. So we made friends with Public Works, and they went above and beyond the call of duty to repower some of the poles that you see downtown with those snowflakes. So our organization did the fundraising to purchase the snowflakes, and then the city of Everett Public Works installed them. And then we heard so many great things about the added light that they decided to keep them up through February. So they'll be up for another week or so. And just felt like that was a nice thing to provide during those sort of dark months, January and February. A few things that we have cooking for this year. Some of you may be familiar with street pole banners. So if you go to a downtown or a place, there'll be a banner that's trying to highlight the place. And we have a new design. The banners that are up now, you may not even notice them. They're fairly old and faded. Working on that project. We're working with a consultant to host a workshop to give pointers and tips to businesses on how to redo their storefronts and their interiors. And we're also hoping through an Everett Forward grant that we can provide funds for some of that implementation. Flower program I mentioned will be planting on April 30th. We're working on creating a new business owners welcome kit. Website I mentioned, the Everett Park Garage I mentioned. We need to get more power to the lights so we can provide more holiday lights downtown. And we're working on throwing together a wine walk, which we're calling Sip and Shop, in June, and a block party type event this summer. So those events I mentioned, we host, but you are all familiar with a variety of events that other entities host. These are a few that I know of right now. There's more, but dates aren't released and more details aren't released, but I can tell you that the Everett Farmers Market will kick off again at Mother's Day and go through October. Same location it's been on Wetmore. The Fisherman's Village is now coming back downtown in May. It was last year, they did it in September. And Sorticulture, they've decided to bring it to downtown for the second year. And it was such a hit, and the vendors did so well, and there was such a positive reception that the city decided downtown would work really well, do it again. Upper Left Beer Festival, Food Truck Festival, more that I have heard of but don't know details of. And then I have to give a shout out to the Snow Isle Food Co-op, which Kari is now a board member of. And we understand that it's their 25th anniversary, and they're hoping to do some sort of events or promotions around the downtown. So I just want to end with ways that you can get involved, or you can let other people know how to get involved. We're always welcoming people to join our committees. The planting day I mentioned, and then after the plants get planted, we're looking for people to maintain the pots throughout downtown. There's about 250 pots. Some people choose to maintain one. Some pick 3, some pick 5. So we have a sign up system that we'll be sending out in the near future, so people can sign up for those pots. And it's really when people have time and when they want to get down there. It's not really scripted. It's fairly organic, and it's just a nice way to give back to downtown. Of course, shopping local and attending events. I'm sure most of you do that. You're so close to downtown. The Downtown Everett gift card. I'm showing a picture of this gift card. It's not a physical card. It's an online card. So right now we have about 33 businesses signed up. So it's what they call a community-wide gift card. So if I buy the gift card for $50 and I want to use it somewhere downtown, I look at the list of where they are, and then I go to, for instance, Planted is on the list. Other businesses are on the list. And it's another thing we're trying to promote and get the word out. It's a great way to support our local businesses. Also, the more it gets used, the more that other businesses will see the benefit and want to join as well. And some of those events that I mentioned. And then lastly, all the projects like the flower program, holiday lights, other things that we would love to do, we're really looking to do that through donations. So we developed another nonprofit organization called the Downtown Everett Partners. It's a 501c3 charitable organization. The Downtown Everett Association is a 501c6. It's more set up as a business association. So individuals don't get that tax write-off. So the Downtown Everett Partners that we set up last year, we raised about $30,000, and shout out to Northwest. Thank you for donating. And all of that went back to the community, and it's also helped us set up the flower program for this year as well. So I think that is the conclusion of my slideshow. I think I'll turn it off, and I would like to ask if Patrick would like to say a few words, because he is our board president and is very involved, and I'm sure I forgot some great details that we could share with the group. So I just thought I'd let you say a few words, Patrick, and then we could turn over to any questions.
Sure. Well, thank you, Liz. I guess the main thing I wanted to say is that, Liz has been with us for just shy of 2 years. And I feel like that's when we really got traction in the organization, when we had the opportunity to, get a new executive director a couple of years ago. We figured that we were going to go all out and we were going to bring in a pro. So we brought Liz, and here she is. And, thanks for all your, great work and the direction that you've taken us in, Liz. I was just wondering, there's a couple of interesting things that people may not know about us. And one of them is, do you want to talk to them about Fulcrum and how our clean team uses Fulcrum?
Sure. Fulcrum is an app, and it's customized. So right now well, a few ways that we're using it. Our clean team, they have phones with the app on it. So every time they remove graffiti, every time they remove a biohazard, or as they like to say, fecal matter, they record all, I saw a face, they record all of that in Fulcrum. We also can categorize all of our flower pots. So we have all of those in a digital map, street poles, and it just goes on and on and on. So a lot of these downtown organizations are using Fulcrum, and it's a great way for us to track in real time what's happening out there.
Yeah, and it has geolocation built into it, so it automatically records, the location of each, incident. Well, we got questions already, it looks like. Holly? You are muted.
My great work, Liz. Your enthusiasm is lovely. You drove by super fast something about a welcome kit, and then city money fund, maybe Dancy next one. Can you go back to that detail and tell me about the welcome kit for new businesses and what that has to do with money from somebody else?
Two separate things. So our Economic Vitality Committee is developing a welcome kit. So if a new business comes to downtown Everett, we can give them basically paperwork. We can give them a guide that says, all right, these are the other businesses downtown. These are some of the resources that you have. Just essentially, when a business comes to downtown Everett right now, they may be kind of alone. They not really know like what are all the resources available to them. So it's basically like a resource list that we're going to put together. So it's all volunteer driven, and it's just a way to welcome people, really.
The other part of that, Holly, that I think you came in late, so I'm not sure you caught the beginning of it. So we started so the DEA is a 501c6 nonprofit, which we have to be because we support businesses, and we started a 501c3 partner organization, and that one is used to, that's the one that we really our primary vehicle for accepting donations from individuals. And that one, we're actually not allowed to do business support through Downtown Everett Partners. So donations go to things like the flowers and the holiday ornaments and certain events, like it would not go to Small Business Saturday, but it can go to, say, Halloween, things like that. So I hope that clarifies that.
Okay. I got that. And now with your Fulcrum data, will you be able to lobby city council for homeless response and more reactive? Are you hoping to be able to use it as a communicative tool with other city sources?
Yeah, well, we've heard that the city of Everett may want to put in a public restroom downtown, and frankly, we have a lot of the data that shows, what's happening downtown in that department. I think as far as that is really a tool that we primarily use for ourselves so we can track the location of things. But if there is something that we can use to share with the city, we're happy to do that. I've also heard the city may be working on a community app that would be something like Seattle has one, Shoreline has one, where if you see a pothole, I mean, it could be anything really, that you can report that to the city. I think it's in very, very, very early stages, but that could also be another way for the community to provide that kind of detailed input to the city that people just don't, the city can't be everywhere. And we do work with a group of people from the county, from the city. Some of you may know Julie Willie. I don't know if she's come here to speak to you. We work with Julie quite a bit on all the various projects, tactics, things that are happening at the city level to address unsheltered homeless situations. So we are very aware of their projects. And she recently gave a talk at City Council. I believe that was maybe a month ago or so. She did a great job of explaining all the various efforts the city is doing now or has on the radar to address the homeless situation. And I'd suggest she might be a great person to invite to your meeting in the next few months and give an update on that.
So with the bathrooms downtown, are you for or against?
We would be for them. I think we would want to see more details, and we want to know locations and how it's managed. But generally supportive. Just
There's a
want to
demand.
work with the city to know more.
Well, I had a business in Everett and somebody had to use the bathroom on my front door once. So
Ah,
there's
yeah.
a need on Hewitt,
Where was your business?
1001 Hewitt Avenue.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks. Your enthusiasm is great. I'm going to sign up ahead of time for the 4:30 planting.
Oh, good. Thank you. And we don't have that info out, but we will get it out soon and we'll get it to Kari. And all the various things that have a link, like one of the videos we mentioned, we'll send a list to Kari so she can send that out to everybody.
Other questions? I saw something in the chat about committees. If you wanted to go over that, what types of committees do you have, Liz?
Oh, Patrick, you want to take that one?
Yeah, she actually showed a slide about that. So the way the Main Street program works, and this is, 1,200 cities across the country that use, a similar tool. It's based on what they call the 4-point approach, because they figured out back in the 70s that to revitalize a historic downtown, you can't just use one approach, you have to use a comprehensive approach. So the 4 points are economic vitality, design, promotion, and organization. So economic vitality is all about fostering entrepreneurship, supporting new businesses and existing ones. This is primarily focused on small business. Design is all about the physical infrastructure of downtown, like the flowers and the holiday ornaments and banners and all of that kind of stuff. Could be trees, plants, or whatever, it's different in every downtown. Promotion is all about positioning downtown as the center of cultural and social life in the city. So they're the ones who do a lot of events, like the trick or treat events and the sip and shop she talked about, and marketing and that kind of stuff. And then organization is all about, kind of the back end stuff. It's about fundraising and volunteer engagement and all of that kind of stuff. So we have one committee for each one of those 4 points. And like I said, we board members are required to be on the committee. So every board member is on a committee, but we have lots of people in addition to board members that are on each committee. And I think I dropped my email in the chat already for the person who was interested in that.
That's great. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions on downtown?
Is there any interest in anybody going into the hotel as a restaurant or anything, or do they run that? Is anybody talking about that or thinking about that, or?
You're talking
I don't know.
You're talking about the Monte Cristo?
No, the Hilton or the Marriott, whatever, the
Marriott.
Oh,
Wall Street and Colby.
I haven't heard of any potential new tenants there. Patrick just mentioned that Monte Cristo Hotel. I want to say that there's a group that's planning to revive that as a venue.
Oh, that would be nice, because when you're staying downtown, where do you have coffee even? I mean, there's coffee right around the corner, I guess, but a breakfast place or,
Yeah,
a restaurant would be nice in a restaurant
Yeah.
hotel.
I agree.
we actually have an amazing coffee scene downtown. If you add them all up, we have, I don't know, something like 24 places in downtown in our 40 block area to get coffee.
Yeah,
And there's not even a Starbucks.
yeah, I think a restaurant would be great.
Yeah, the Starbucks left.
Mhm.
Huh. Okay. Thank you so much, Liz. By all means, I put some links in the chat too about the association and Main Street. It's cool that we're a part of that too. I know it's always been this balance between downtown and South Everett and where the shopping is, but Alan, for some reason, if you're still here, didn't
Yes.
you say something about you just want a place to buy socks once on a meeting?
No, Well, that's that's not an original to me. I have to pass that one off to Jack O'Donnell. Just the idea that, the idea that if my son had a concert tonight, or he's a little old for that now, but say he had in middle school and he had a concert and he needed a new shirt, it would take me from North Everett probably a half hour to get there, if traffic's good. And it's just kind of always been kind of a pet peeve that there's not any there's plenty of coffee shops, I'll give you that. But if I needed to get a t-shirt or a pair of socks, probably the closest would be Fred Meyer. And it's just kind of frustrating that there's not a little more. I did have a question. I've noticed that it looked like an event space on Hewitt, just before you go over the bridge to the PUD. It's on the left. I think it's about where Agnew Hardware used to be. Does anybody know what that is?
Well, that's actually outside of our downtown district.
Mhm.
So I don't know. But as far as the socks thing, I mean, that's something that you hear all the time. And I mean, I live in this neighborhood and it's an issue that I face. I used to go to the JCPenney in Marysville and now they're gone. But I think that that Petrichor place, the new place going in to the old Manor Hardware building across from Bar Greens, I think that's promoting itself as a kind of like a new kind of general store or something. Is that right, Liz?
That's what I've heard. I don't know a lot of details right now about that product, but like Patrick said, it'll be across the street from Bar Green's Coffee, on the same side of the street where that the climbing gym and the skate shop is.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
one thing too.
My dream would be, the corner of Hewitt and Colby, where there's a gigantic bank that's been sitting empty for 8 years, a small urban Target, because there's a parking lot right behind it. And, something like that would just be fantastic, but it just doesn't seem to be in the works.
Yeah, I think the Main Street program really is all about, relentless incremental growth and change. So just something new, just little baby steps every day.
Yep.
And just keep doing that year after year. And I think the best thing that we can do to make that happen is just to make downtown an awesome place. And, probably the other thing is to continue to build more housing downtown. Because that's what really provides the market for stores like that to want to come in.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get foot traffic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I do see more families downtown walking shoulders and walking dogs, and more families in Everett, and that's encouraging.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I should have included one more slide on there about projects that are with housing. So now I'm forgetting, what is it called? I call them Trent Development. Do you know the name of the project, Patrick, that's happening right now in Wetmore?
I can't remember. So it's the old YMCA property.
Right. The building that's being built right now should open sometime later this year, and there'll be about 270 apartments in that building. And the Marquee Apartments that just opened up this summer, I think they had 60 some units. There was some feature in the Herald about some days or a week ago about the Colby Tower project. And that was a really interesting article to read about condos and some of the laws at the state level, that why condos have not been as popular to build for developers. But there seems to be a little bit more interest in condos, so we can watch for that as well.
And if I'm paying attention correctly, 2600 block, so it's not the J. Matheson side of the street, it's the other side of the street where like Wicked Cellars used to be.
Right, it's that parking lot that's right there.
Parking lot at the end, okay. Yeah, housing would help for sure. Across the board, everywhere, in every level, all of it. Yes. Cool. Any more questions on downtown? No.
Question.
Oh, wait, Andrew, go ahead.
So I've lived here for like 2 years, and I feel like every time I go in downtown, I find a new place that I didn't know existed, like a coffee shop or a different store. Do we have like an interactive map, that kind of like a digital map that just shows what's out there? If I just went to like downtown Everett and could like hover over businesses that was just kind of upkept by the community. Is there something like that that exists?
That's a really good point. As I'm trying to find it here. We developed a shopping guide this year and we put it on Issue. It's a work in progress. It's our first attempt to really create a little bit more of a comprehensive map. So we'll be updating this like twice a year, and I'm sure this will change over time, whether it's totally map based or list based. But that's a start, and that'll give you a pretty good sense of what we have in that kind of downtown core. But yeah, feel free to send us any suggestions you have.
Cool, thank you. And then one other thing, do you guys have signage on the interurban trail for pointing people in the direction of downtown Everett? Because I know the interurban bootlegs over to the Snohomish River, and I used to bike that a lot coming northbound from Linwood. And I feel like if there was just a sign like, "Okay, come on this road and you can go to downtown," I feel like a lot of the biking community and people in the summer would gladly take the detour.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'll have to ask to Carl and Colton. They're on our committees, and they are cyclists. Actually, don't own a car, and they live downtown. I should ask them as well. I've only taken the trail to the south, so I didn't notice the signage coming back into town. That's a really good point. Thanks, Andrew.
Yep.
Yeah, all these ideas are good, so they're helpful.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. The interurban comes by, I want to call it, I'll date myself, but the GE building or GTE building and Verizon, now Frontier, now Ziply, whatever. But it like runs between the cemetery, I think, and that building, right? When it comes into town. Yeah, so it would be nice if you got to 41st and it's like, oh, hey, just go literally a mile or so that way and you'll stumble upon all these places to go. Yeah, good idea.
Aren't there signs that point to down like on Hoyt? Like sometimes I notice when I'm driving to work, there's some signs that point to downtown, like via Hoyt. Is that right?
Like with the bicycle symbol?
I don't remember if it has a, I'll have to look when I'm driving to work tomorrow. I'll have to try to look.
I was thinking before I got this meeting that when I grew up in North Everett a long time ago, biking wasn't that fashionable. Walking downtown wasn't that fashionable. And frankly, I don't think we really ever did it. And I feel like probably you all now, depending on where you live in North Everett, there's probably a lot more people biking and walking downtown. It really isn't that far, and it's fairly flat.
Yeah, it's about 2 miles, give or take, depending on where you want to go. And Hoyt,
Bus route.
Colby, yeah. We took the bus. That's what I was going to say is
Is
when
there bus route will ever come back?
I love that bus.
not yet, no. Because it used to be right at 12th and Rucker. It was half a block from the house, and that was pretty slick. And it did loop through the town. And then it had been on Colby, so it kind of went down our backbone. That's when we wrote to the city, probably 3-4 years ago, to say, hi, it would be nice if it returned, but financial, which I'll get to when we change topics, because I have another announcement regarding that. So complicated. It's very complicated. Yeah. But get more people downtown, more tax base, more people, things happening, benefits us all.
Thanks for letting us share. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for being here. And Patrick is always nice because he'll always throw out something about DEA or downtown Everett too. So it's nice to hear now that you're more settled in, Liz, in this role, and things are hopefully opening up again too. So thanks so much. Okay. I am going to change the subject, which would be to say, and I will share my screen. We had a steering committee meeting, I guess two Saturdays ago or something like that. Part of it was that I have been wanting to step down as chair because it has been nearly 5 years and it's a long time. And Shelley's on the call too, and having been in that role for a long time. We like to have new leadership in the neighborhood. It's nice to have new ideas, fresh. And also, once you've been in the role, then you see all the different elements of the neighborhood and you can jump in and help in other ways if you don't have to be the one that's the point for everything. So yesterday, for example, I attended the matching fund meeting. So now the city is doing this portal, which is on SharePoint on their website. So all neighborhoods across the city can get into here. They could, if they wanted, like store their documents. We have Google Drive for our stuff with Northwest, but this is how we'll be submitting matching fund documents. So I'm sort of talking to Holly and Shelley and anybody else that is paying attention to that piece.
Sorry, I think that we see your lovely yearly card.
Oh, really? Well, let me change that.
I'm like, what, is this an example? And I really need to use my imagination here?
You have to use your imagination. Thank you, Liz. Anyway, sorry if I offended anybody with that. We were mad at 2020. Okay, so matching funds, thank you. Essentially, it's the same in that the priority on these things is things that are beneficial to all in the neighborhood. They're not benefiting one person, they're engaging the community, all of that. What I noticed right away is this line right here, that the matching grant funds have been halved, as we thought may happen. So when Mary was on here before, I was asking her quickly if she knew why, and said the city's broke. I don't think the city's broke, but I do think that they're limited in funds, and that's been something we have known about. And that was pre-COVID. COVID didn't help. So we have to come back. So with the projects that we would like to be doing for the neighborhood, we're going to have to reevaluate those numbers and see what we want to do. I'm grateful because we have certainly done a lot at the park, and we got some of our larger expenses done in the last 2 years. So when we have our park event on March 12th, Saturday from like 9 to 1 or something, we're going to hang the sign on the Drew Nielsen on our information board, but that was paid for last year. So go us. But if it wasn't, that would be more than 3/4 of our budget for this year. So I think it's going to be hard for other neighborhoods. So I would, I guess, ask the audience to petition the city for the things that are helpful for neighborhoods. Again, we are in a fortunate position that we have a good base of funding, but not all neighborhoods do. Holly.
You slow that down and say that again. Our funding now has gone from $3,700 at one point to $1,000.
If you're historically looking at it from when they had first done the matching grants, yes. So last year was 2,000 was the reimbursement. It's been 2,000 the whole time I've been chair, but I think when Council of Neighborhoods had been started, it was much higher. So yes, so this year, it's 2022, it's $1,000 for every neighborhood in the city, of which there's 19. So,
And
So
are
we
you
also-
encouraging us then to, I feel like there needs to be a verbal, written, and show up response to that, because that is bullshit.
we can write a letter.
$1,000 is nothing.
It really-
That is just bullshit.
Yeah.
So
So
I
I
might
would,
get beeped. Should I not say that? Okay. That's not acceptable.
Will we be able to, if the neighborhoods do not use their funding, will we be able to access that again?
we have in the past, and I would certainly ask again if it came down to it. What Russ is saying is that if we spend our 1,000 and another neighborhood does not spend part of their money, can we access that? I can certainly ask, because we've taken advantage of that. I mean, again, very fortunate. Northwest does well, but But I think that's going to be a big struggle for other neighborhoods. And it isn't much money, Holly, as you just said, it really isn't. $1,000 can be spent like that.
I believe at our steering committee, we did feel some responsibility to speak up regarding these things as a neighborhood with some maturity and having spent money over time
Yeah.
and experience. So I'm looking for some guidance about a response to that. Shelley? I'll let you be the guide.
What's mostly disappointing is a lot of neighborhoods had cleanups and $1,000 doesn't cover it,
Right.
especially with rising prices. But yeah, a lot of times that was the only event they would have that was kind of a big event for everyone to participate in. Any word from other chairs about this and other neighborhoods?
Unfortunately, I had to leave the meeting before I got to ask my question about the money. But I think that we are not alone in providing some feedback, is what it sounded like from Mary.
What does
So
that
I think a
mean?
letter is
You're not
appropriate.
alone in providing some feedback? What does that mean?
Meaning that other neighborhoods have reached out. I just wasn't present when that happened, but I think that they already have been writing.
Oh, other people went, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you
So-
have any idea how the city council feels about this?
They don't have any feelings.
I would say they have, as always, the biggest challenge ever to run a full service city. And I think that I see it in about every aspect of my work and life, that maintenance is something we all need to be doing. Nobody wants to do it and nobody wants to pay for it. So a lot of things get set up, but everything costs more down the line. The more you put it off, the more it's going to cost. But I also am seeing a lot of things being passed to the public that aren't being covered in programs per se, because somebody doesn't want it paid for with something or vice versa. The problem with that is that our money goes much further as a community than it does individually, and not everybody has the means to do this stuff. So yeah, even on a small scale, thinking about what the Everett budget must be, and I don't know off the top of my head, but $19,000 seems like a drop in the bucket
It is a drop in the bucket.
for a city of over 100,000 people. So yeah, anyway, I don't have the answer there. But I would, to Holly, and what I'm hearing is that we can write a letter, and if the steering committee people raise your hand, I will happily write it to send to council, because I do think everything is being drained from that. Even if I think about, and I'm grateful to the city for the money that they have given to us to do this work, absolutely. But when I think about it, the biggest part of our project money for 2021 was signs in a park that is a city park, but it was the neighborhood who then came up with the program and the design and the writing and the history to take who Drew is. So it's always kind of been on the community to do this work. So it's very interesting. But anyway, I don't need to be the only one talking. That was my biggest announcement, is that we need to craft our matching grants. They're due March 7th. And they will need to be submitted through this portal, so I can take care of that piece or invite other people to join in, but we're going to have to think about the numbers.
So they didn't even give us 2 weeks to do it? The meeting was yesterday and it's due March 7th?
The forms are due, but we have ours written, right?
But think about, that's ridiculous. What the heck? See, I didn't swear. That's ridiculous. Of course we can do it, but like what? How is a neighborhood supposed to pull together a plan for the year, have it all written up and figured out in 3 weeks? They don't even meet in 3 weeks.
True.
That's
Except
called,
that
they mean to have this not work. They mean to have it not work.
Perhaps.
That is intent to fail right there.
I will say that from a person that submitted the paperwork, I would much prefer it being in March than in January. However, when you start to think about early projects, if we were looking.
Do at the end of the year before, like everybody else, you do your plans the year before.
Yeah, is that we're having an event on March 12th. So we will not likely have an approval if some of the park money, right? I mean, it makes it very tricky for sure. To your point.
Does anybody else agree they mean for it to fail when they cut the money in half and give us 3 weeks to figure it out? Is that looking out for us? Is that a supportive approach to a volunteer city mini grant program?
Yeah, but Holly, what I think they're trying to do is they've increasingly diminished it down. And I think what we need to find out, the base of it is what are they doing to support neighborhoods and what's their plans going forward? That's the big
plan
question.
is to
not the
choke us
money.
out. They've got rid of the staff. It's obvious.
I know, that's why we need them to be frank and open and, say what they need to say.
I agree.
I'm not sure exactly of the framework for it, but it almost feels like something that could be put on the council agenda with the neighbors showing up for a public meeting. But I'm not sure what that looks like exactly. I don't have time right now to work on it per se, but
Let's have another meeting or talk about that because something needs to be done.
yeah. Anyway, it's frustrating because it's very hard to get anything done. And especially when we actually have things we want to do that do affect a lot of people and better the city and better our neighborhood. So yeah, I know, I hear you.
I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, Sally.
How much money do we have? What do we have?
Russ.
Yes.
Money man Russ, how much do we have in our bank?
Right now, we have 10,500 in the bank and another 400 in PayPal.
Okay.
Well, I would venture to say we're fine for our events because years past, our events didn't cost. I mean, we'd have 3,000 in the bank, 4,000 maybe. And when we did like the neighborhood cleanup, we charged $10 or excuse me, we asked for a donation, got plenty of money in. I think that the Easter egg hunt can easily be covered by the neighborhood money. We're probably looking at, we've got plenty of toys and gifts to give out. So I already talked to Carol and we're looking at maybe $300 to $500 there. And so maybe the $1,000 could be, maybe the parks, whatever's going on at the park and plants. We could use it that way, and then we don't have to have a bunch of mini grant proposals put in for things such as that or the other stuff for this year.
Yeah.
Well, we should put in we don't want to back out of the program like we don't need it.
No, I said you guys have a lot of park stuff that you're doing, and I don't know what the cost of that is, but it sounds like it's a whole lot more than what a
it's a whole lot more than mini grant will cover.
Yeah.
Well, and so maybe that should be just done by you, Holly, to ask for it, and then I won't put in for Easter egg hunt or any of the other stuff.
Well, I think we should do the Easter egg hunt and all the little stuff and raise money separately.
We'll do it. But what I'm saying is putting in for matching grant, do it just with the park.
I think we should do your matching grant for your Easter egg hunt and everything because those are different. I think we should do as many different kinds of events as we can instead of one kind of event.
I think we have all these projects and I think the city should know about it, even though they're not going to pay for it. They should know how many things that they're not funding. And I think for the sake of the other neighborhoods, who don't get so organized. You want to make sure that they can understand that they need that, they should be asking for the $1,000 too. I mean, if we don't ask for it, then the neighborhoods that aren't doing much will never get it.
Yeah.
Well
How much
said.
does the cleanup cost?
We usually ask for, I think, $500. Shelley, does that sound
Yeah,
right?
I think it ends up, the bill is upwards of 1,500.
Mhm.
And did we decide, I can't remember, did we decide we wanted to do it this year or we didn't know?
We would, no, the goal is to run it. We
Yeah.
have run it for, they'll be coming up on 3 years, I guess. It would be
Yeah.
2019 would have been the last time we did it. Yeah, it's time. I mean, people have stuff. It's convenient when it comes to the neighborhood for sure. On the
Well,
Easter egg hunt, and you would probably know this better, Shelley, but I think we gave out all the eggs, right? So we actually need totally new eggs.
I've got 300 right now.
Okay,
So, yeah, Carol knows that we need eggs and we need candy.
okay,
She's very good at it.
good. And we are planning, for those watching, we are going to do it at all 3 parks again. Because it worked really well. We met new neighbors in the different places where we were, and it wasn't so crowded. So I think that was really great. Yeah. Mhm. So maybe, anyway, so anybody else chime in, feel free. But anyway, Easter egg hunt, cleanup, we're still going for. The park, I think, is a tricky one, because we won't have this approved before the March 12th event, but we have everything we need to do that, I believe. But for lights and stuff at the end of the year, that might be something different. And the native plant L-shaped thing is kind of a bigger project, really outside of the scope of the matching grant program. And
Well, it is now with $1,000 cut, but it shouldn't have been. Can we meet on the 5th prior to turning it in on the 7th and make sure that we've got it all balanced out instead of trying to take this meeting time to come up with details?
You're welcome to do so.
Or you're gone on the 5th.
I'll be at the plant sale.
Oh yeah, you're gone that weekend. Well, maybe that Thursday night, the 3rd or something.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
But I feel like there's details we should pay attention to with this new news.
Yes. I wholeheartedly agree. Liz, see ya. Thank you. Yeah. If there's anything else, yeah, I just say we try and maximize where we can. Thankfully, again, we have a bank account and people donate, which I'm always grateful for. I always send little notes. Thank you so much, because it keeps.
I think we should add a fundraise. I mean, more stuff for that kind of stuff, because 1,000 out this year, next year, whole thing's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We got to end on a happier note than that. We are going to meet on March 12th, so that will be the next event we have. We'll be at the park 9 to 1. Tim and Holly, what do we need for the board? I guess that's an expense that'll just have to be on the neighborhood, probably, like the backing. And I have the signs here at my house.
Well, I think we need to get the backing ready, right, Holly?
Yeah.
And we were talking about, and I think I showed you guys before that they're basically cedar 1x6s that they're tongue and groove, and they would work well. As a, I was thinking of doing them vertically, and they would fill the gap where the peeling
Cork is.
board used to be, or sort of still is.
Yeah.
So we do
Yeah,
that.
sort of still is a good way to describe it.
I think I might work on getting the cork out before the work party, so we can be because it's gonna make a big mess.
Yeah, we might want to get the backing up before the work party. So maybe the work party is just installing the
Actual sign.
letters, the words.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's right now, it's hard to find time to do anything. Sorry.
Well, I got time I got time in March now. My March job moved to September. So I'm a little looser in the first couple weeks of March than I was. I mean, my time,
Okay,
so I can help you with that.
already. We'll work on it.
Well, we
Mary.
did have a park
Yeah.
meeting today. You want to have a happy note? I can probably pull a happy note out of it, sort of.
Do
Oh,
it.
yes, please do.
Okay, I'll have to try. Um, they really are. Ugh. We have to have another meeting. And
Okay.
they'd like us to, we've had, their designer, who is the head of projects and physical things, is gonna meet with our designer next Tuesday and the guy from the Audubon Society on the site, which I've been asking for 4 separate times, but oh no, now it's their idea, so, oh, okay. That was up, wasn't it? Okay, so they're gonna meet on the site next Tuesday to really talk about the L shape, because they are not on board with the L shape, but they won't say in a sentence. Even though I asked them directly, I said, does the L shape conflict with the CPCAP thing, the police, what is it, the code for what our vegetation has to look like, so police have a clear line of sight to shoot at somebody or not be shot at or whatever. And that's still the issue. And it's just hard because they won't say our plan doesn't meet it. The plant guy said it was fine in October. Now all of a sudden it's not fine. So our plant guy's gonna stay here with me, and they were very happy that we had a purpose of education, and they were very happy that the pill truck guy wanted to be involved and could do maintenance. I'm concerned that so we just have to get the L shape approved. If they don't approve the L shape, or even, then it doesn't look like they want to budge at all from coming off this north side, I will abort, because their idea of trying to jam stuff on the north side isn't gonna work.
No.
And we'll move our attention to our next conquest, which is the Marine View Drive parks, which need native plants. So, you can knock a girl down, but
Mm-hmm.
Debbie leaves poison berries, she survives. So, but anyway, they're gonna come to the site next Tuesday. I don't know what time. I'll tell everybody so we can show up with our banners and cookies and bribe the guy. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let
So,
me know what time. I don't know that I'll be able to come, but it would be good to have some other people there too.
I
So-
don't know if we're invited.
That was our happy note.
Yeah.
Oh, it is,
We're still in the game.
we're still in the game. Yes.
Okay,
I'm glad for other people to still be in the game, because my goodness, it gets harder and harder all the time. What are we looking at? That is,
What they wanted to do instead of ours.
where is that? Or what is that?
That's by Jen's house.
Oh, okay.
The
So,
north border. They just wanted to cram a bunch of stuff in there and make it bigger. And it'll just look stupid.
I just don't see how, anyway, I would defer to Bridget and other people I know, but plants need space.
Yeah, Bridget, what do you think?
I think we need to stick to our plan.
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be a garden. It won't be an environment.
Right,
It'll be a row.
right.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to have the signs perhaps even facing the sidewalk. So somebody walking by,
Yeah.
oh, what's that? And then take a look and wander into the park to look at the plants. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Shelley, did you have something? Anyway, I know you have to get up early, so. Bye.
I should.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, native plants. They're good for the environment. We need pollinator plants. We need water sucking up plants. We need carbon sucking down plants. We need all of them. It's very important for us to breathe into the future. I agree. Anyway, it is 8:15. On that note, this is the strangest meeting ever. But anyway, thank you for being engaged with Northwest. Thank you for being involved in your community. It all matters. It really does. I think we're all a little tired because it's been a rough 2 years, honestly. It's
has
just thinking
been.
about it. But we are still here, and I'm proud of that, and we will carry on. Woohoo! Next meeting is the mayor. So I suppose to some extent she'll get an earful. Cassie, if you're watching, be prepared. But
Mhm.
yeah, so Cassie Franklin will be here next month on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. And we will get a chance to talk to her. It's been a while because it got postponed from last fall, I think. So yeah, it's good. Any closing thoughts? All right. Thanks for
Have a great
being
day.
here. Have a nice one. Thanks so much.
Hey, good job,
Thanks,
everybody.
Carrie.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.